Should the school day start later? Nowadays, lots of schools go ahead and start their school days, at 8:30. Sometimes they end it at 3:20 or 3:30. And then let after school activities happen all the way until 4 or 5:30. Other times they go ahead and end it at 4:20 and let their after school activities end at 5:20. Lots of people don't agree with this, so I've experienced that a lot myself. In the end, though, lots of teenagers really want a later school day, mainly because they really, really love to sleep in. In fact, one of the top 10 things a teenager loves to do, according to Reddit, is sleep. It's even included in the top 5, to be honest. Here we go, though. This is a debate. So in the end, we're going to have to go ahead and talk about the school days starting later. The first point from the pros team. Ta-da! Now, teenagers aren't getting enough sleep, especially in this modern age of the tech division world. Mainly because some parents go ahead and say this, irresponsibly using their time right before sleep. Now, of course, you should switch off your digital devices and stop watching TV for like 30 minutes before bedtime. And this is one thing I'm terrible at. During weekends, school days, I'm really good at this. But mainly though, it's due to their bodies. We're going through that era of puberty, and as soon as puberty hits, as soon as you hit the hay, well, you want to hit the hay a little later. And once you hit the hay a little later, you go ahead and, well, sleep. When I was a little kid, I hated sleep. I went ahead and tried to stay up as much as possible. But now, I love to sleep. It's really satisfying. I never understood why people loved sleep, and it wasn't until like the 6th or 7th grade that I understood why people loved to sleep so much. The point, though, from the pros team is that teenagers aren't getting enough sleep because of their puberty thing that's going on inside them, which builds them into falling asleep later and waking up later. So, a later school day should be in order. Now, the first point from the cons team. This is where starting school days later affect elementary students. Sure, middle school students and high school students will be affected, but to them it's more beneficial. Towards the lower school, primary school, elementary school students, they go ahead and they have no one to take care of them, mainly because their parents are at work or their older siblings are just not at home to take care of them, which means they are home alone to do whatever they want, which is the worst situation for a parent. Unless that little kid is really, really responsible, which is a really, really rare breed. In the end, though, there's not much else we can do. A little thing to mention, though, school days usually start at 8:30. Classes start at 8:30. I should mention school days probably start at like 8:20 or sometime like that. The second point from the pros team is that starting the school day later has led to better grades and attendance for students. In those states and countries where they required a later school day start, they realized that their attendance rates went up and their school day and their school reports and grades averages went up, which is really good for those students, really good reputation for the school, and an extremely good thing for the country because high education and literacy rates are a must-do in developing countries. The second point from the cons team, this is where a later school day will cut down on time for after-school activities and jobs, meaning that there will be less time to do whatever else you want to do, including homework time, in this. Because of this just one little later school day. Now, the third point is that when drivers get more rest, they really have a lower chance of getting into a car crash, mainly because, well, they're well rested, they are high in energy, and they're ready for the day. Note, never get into a car with a driver that seems too sleepy to drive. The third point of the cons team is that it can be really hard for working parents to adjust to this later school day schedule. Yeah, sure, the schools and students will adjust, but their workday schedules, though, they'll probably stay the same, mainly because their businessmen and their bosses really, really hate later boss starting days, because that means less profits, and less profits equals, well, an insatiable want for more profits. Some working parents drop off their kids at school via their way to work. This will not work for them, at least not immediately. My opinion, though, school days should kinda start later. Yeah, sure, I sleep a little earlier. I mean, in the olden days, I went to bed at, 11? Or most of the time it was 10. And during those days, I had less to do. I had less time to study, mainly because I didn't have as much as to study. To my little kid brain, though, that was still too early. And I really wanted to sleep at 12 o'clock. And sometimes I just stayed up all the way until 12 o'clock while my parents went off to sleep first. However, now I go ahead and sleep at 11 sharp, or at rare occasions, 11:30. And even rare occasions, 12 o'clock. This is really bad for me, mainly because I wake up at 7:30 to arrive at school at 7:40. Mainly though, my school has a very lax schedule of the 7:40 to 8:20 reading time schedule, and I always arrive at some time before 8:30, so that it gives me enough rest for the day to go ahead. In the end though, should the school day start later? That's your opinion. Lots of teenagers will say yes, mainly because they just want to sleep and they really are tired. They deserve all this. But in the end, well, lots of parents and teachers will probably disagree to this. Some teachers though, they will be in favor of this. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it so much you'll give it a thumbs up, share it and subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Until next time, Shunhan out. Peace. Bye bye.